Channel. My name is Asya. I'm 27 years old and I'm studying illustration and animation in my third semester. And in this video I want to talk about how I am drawing a character scene like this without drawing outlines. So I drew this in my sketchbook. There's a girl and she's holding a key and going out of this door. So she stepped into it. I wanted to show you how I drew this. So this is the same drawing, but in the finished look. So, and in this video I also made just something like a time-lapse video, but I also want to talk about my thoughts and my ideas, why I did what I did. In the last 2 weeks I wasn't sure what I wanted to show you, so I thought to make a time-lapse video would be a good idea to show you how I drew something. But I don't want to talk about that too much, but also want to talk about my thoughts and my ideas. So let's get started with the video. I started by blocking in the base colors for the face, hair and dress to make things easier. I lowered the opacity of my sketch and used it as a guide while painting over the unfinished areas. After that, I worked on the body and added some of the main colors for the background to establish the overall mood of the piece. I also spent some time experimenting with the lighting. At first I wanted to use a soft blue light source, but I decided to focus on the door in the background before coming back to the lighting later. Once the main shapes were in place, I started sketching in the facial features. At this stage, the eyes, nose and mouth were only placeholders, since I knew I would refine everything with shading and details later on. Started refining the face and adding shading, highlights and some blush to give it more depth. I also worked on the eyes and facial features to bring a bit more life to the character. For the hair, I first focused on the shadow to define the different strands before adding highlights on top. This helped create more volume and texture without losing the overall shape. Once I was happy with the face and hair, I moved on to some of the smaller details, including the key, the skin tones, and parts of the outfits. At this stage, I mainly focused on adding more depth and gradually refining the painting. After that, I shifted my focus to the background. I wanted the building to feel like a small wooden cottage, so I started adding wood texture and refining the overall structure. Next, I worked on the windows and some decorative elements around the house, making sure to add shadows and highlights to give everything more depth. Once the larger background elements were finished, I moved on to smaller details such as the flower boxes, the flowers themselves, and the character's shoes. These little additions helped bring the scene together and make the environment feel much more complete. At this point, I started focusing more on the environment and the overall atmosphere of this piece. I added a stone pathway in front of the house and spent some time refining the ground with additional shading and highlights to make it feel more connected to the rest of the scene. After that, I painted the grass and surrounding greenery. I wanted the location to feel a little more natural, almost as if this small cottage was hidden away somewhere deep in the woods. Adding These details help make the scene feel much more alive and inviting. I also went back to some of the areas I had already worked on, especially the door and the wooden parts of the house. Sometimes I like to revisit all the sections before finishing a piece because it helps me spot details that I might have missed earlier. One of my favorite parts was working on the lighting. I experimented with different colors and effects before settling on a combination of warm and cool light sources. The blue glow became an important part of the composition because it helped create a more mysterious and magical atmosphere. To push the fantasy feeling even further, I added extra foliage, background elements, and subtle environmental details. I wanted the scene to feel like the entrance to a hidden place, somewhere that might lead to another world. As a final touch, I added some soft lighting and mist effects around the character and throughout the environment. These small adjustments helped tie everything together and gave the illustration the dreamy look I was aiming for. Video. I hope you will like this. If you want, you can give me a thumbs up or you can subscribe my channel. You can also leave me a comment or you can subscribe my other channels or my other accounts on TikTok, Instagram and Threads. I hope I will see you next time. Bye!